everyone, and welcome to Trojan Talk. I'm your host, Wilson Hatcher, and today we'll get a review from some movies that were throughout the weekend, a thought provoking and funny genius YouTube creator, and Central High flashbacks, and a creative rap artist.
Critical Access, where we give you the latest movie news and reviews. I am Jasmine Pugh, here with Terrence and Willie. On today's show, we will be focusing on our hot topic of the week. My name is Dynamite, as well as Magnificent Mistress of Darkness and Harriet.
But before that, let's get to our top 3 box office movies from the weekend. Terrence, what we got?
Well, our top 3 of the week consists of a new number 1 over the weekend with 21st Century Fox's Ford versus Ferrari. Coming in at number 2, we have Midway, produced by Lionsgate, and Sony Pictures' Charlie's Angels comes in at number 3. Now, let's catch up with Robin and the street team with our hot topics of the week.
Hi, you guys. I'm here with Chantel and Darnell, and we're beating the streets to try to figure out what movies out that everyone's seen. Now, I believe they've seen Dolomite, so you can give us some reviews on Dolomite.
I don't know the proper way, but this is one that Eddie Murphy did, I guess. But I don't know how to compare. It was pretty funny, but if you compare it to the original, which is in that magazine that you got for your city, if you refer to that, it will give you a breakdown.
I feel like it was important for Black history because you don't really know like the cinema history for Black actors and those who are into that industry where it enlightened us on everything. I feel like it was inspirational to me actually. Like he never took no for an answer. He kept striving to do what he wanted to do. And he was successful in the end, and I love that Black people came out and supported him in that, and I feel like that's what's needed now and today and going forward.
You don't have any ratings over the audience?
I loved it. Yeah. It's like two thumbs up.
Top tier movie.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for stopping by and letting us get your review. Y'all have a great one. Thank you so much, Chantel. Thank you. All right, you guys, we're back with Movie Critics, and we have Casey here who's watched Maleficent. Can you tell us about Maleficent, Casey? How did you enjoy it?
It was good. It's kind of sad. It's kind of happy. It's kind of weird.
Happy and sad, kind of weird. Do you have any favorite parts of the movie that you like?
Yes.
Oh, what is that? Tell me about it.
When Aurora cried when her Maleficent appeared on her.
She cried because of what? Why did Maleficent appear on her? Oh, okay. I appreciate your time. I enjoy Maleficent. You have a good one, okay? Bye. All right.
So the movie called My Name is Dolomite was starring Eddie Murphy, Mike Epps, Chris Robinson, I believe it was, or Craig Robinson, excuse me, Craig Robinson. It chronicled the career life of Rudy Ray Moore, who also went by the name Dolomite. He put out a few movies over his lifetime in his career. The movie My Name is Dolomite that just came out, it's on Netflix. In my opinion, it was probably one of the best movies of 2019. We saw Eddie Murphy that we haven't seen in many years. It was funny, it was engaging. It made, it kind of had his soft spots. It kind of had it had everything that a movie is supposed to have. It took you on a roller coaster of emotions. Things that I didn't even know about Dolomite, which I kind of grew up watching and everything like that. It just kind of makes sense now that why he did things the way he did on his own. In my opinion, out of 5 stars, I would give My Name is Dolomite all 5 stars, and I would say that it is probably one of the best movies of 2019.
Yes, I believe that it is also a pretty good movie that Eddie Murphy did, revert back to his old self with this performance. Another great movie that has came out, is the Harriet movie. It's highlighting the story of abolitionist Harriet Tubman with the escape from slavery and the dangerous missions leading to liberate hundreds of slaves through the Underground Railroad. I believe director Casey Lemons did a fabulous job with this. It's a very powerful and emotional movie, starring Cynthia Erivo. Although the movie itself was very powerful, there was a lot of controversy behind Cynthia being casted for this role because of remarks that she made on her Twitter account about African American history. So, but with all that being said, it's still a powerful movie, and I would suggest that everyone go see it.
Yeah, I feel like Harriet was very well put together, and it's definitely reflects back to how it used to, what they had to go through back in the day. And I feel like this movie makes our generation be more appreciative of what they went through. Another movie that came out or that's been highlighting is Magnificent, and that's starting with Angelina Jolie, and I feel like it's a great Disney movie. It doesn't feel like it once you watch it. I feel like it's very. I feel like everything about the movie was very well put together. It's not a usual Disney movie, I can say that. But I also can say it looks very realistic. It looks like the way that they had the actors, the way that the scenery was, it looks like it's something that's actually live and not, made up.
Okay. Yeah, my take on Maleficent is that it's a pretty good movie. I like the perspective that they took versus a traditional Disney princess.
Yeah. Yep. And thank you for joining us this morning on Critical Access. Well, that's all the time we have. Stay tuned in next week for our hot topic, 21 Bridges.
Are you struggling with money? Do you need your taxes done? Well, come on down to Tax Junkie.
Tax Junkie!
Hi, I'm DQ with Tax Junkie. We offer a friendly face and easy to understand service. You don't even need your W-2s, just your latest check stub, and we'll take it from there.
Tax Junkie!
Junkie!
Last year, we
Junkie!
kept over 40 people from
Junkie!
relapsing into debt.
The best thing that happens to me every day at work is seeing my babies, my students. There were several students that I had that were not able to read. That was a burden on my heart. A couple of years ago, I enrolled back in UALR in their graduate program for reading. The program is helping me understand different assessments that I can give them. That program is enabling me to actually make a difference.
Welcome back to Film Forum. I'm Halen Metford, and today we have our very own Wilson Hatcher here to talk about his YouTube channel, Big W Studios. But first, let's take a quick look at his film, Thunder Thighs.
Hey kids, are you ready for the most awesome game ever? Then get ready for Thunder Thighs. Play as Thunderous Maximus as you blast your way through hordes of evil. Run, jump, and shoot bad guys right in their stupid faces.
Sorry, bad guys, but you ain't got on me.
Thunder Thighs. Available now. Come on, what are you waiting for? Get it, you piece of shit. Get the there and buy the game, you
Dude, have you heard of the new Thunder Thighs? Thunder Thighs? Thunder Thighs.
All right. I'm glad to have you here, Wilson. I've got a lot of questions about your film, Thunder Thighs. But first off, let's start with, how did you get started making films?
Well, I was in high school once, and I remember walking up to one of my classes, and I sat at a table, and I saw my longtime best friend, Ben Morgan, and I see someone else that kind of looks like him, tall, skinny, and I say, "Who is this? Your brother?" And he said, "Yes," and the rest was history.
Cool. So when did you first become interested in filmmaking? Was it when you met them, or was there before?
It was a combination. You know, it was I've always been interested, but we did a lot together. So
Cool. So talk about kind of how your crew runs. I know there were a lot of really cool shots and some pretty cool special effects.
Oh yeah, no, it's floods of just fantastic shots, and a lot of those are assisted by our cameraman Ben Morgan. Also serves as an assistant director a lot of the time. I usually go to him before I go to anybody when I make up an idea, see what he thinks, and then his brother Drew Morgan, perhaps the most talented of the bunch, just an amazing editor, fantastic, great, and also, you know, you got Jesse Drennan, the amazing actor, one of the best. You got Devontae Henderson, amazing. He's so many great actors.
So where did this idea for Thunder Thighs come from, real quick?
Thunder Thighs, you know, I know a lot of our subscribers play video games, and we made a movie for stoners, huge hit amongst the stoner community, and that's how it is.
That's
with
incredible.
Video games, yes.
Well, we got a chance to show some people your film Thunder Thighs, and we're going to roll the clip.
Savior of sex.
Thunder Thighs, Wilson was a hell of a movie. I really liked it. It was funny. He's technical. Oh, he punched me.
That was funny as hell. I mean, I knew Wilson was funny, but I ain't know Wilson was that funny, bro.
I ain't fighting over it.
They claimed the city thanks to Disco. That's why he came out. This is Thunder Thighs, bro. Let me put you on Thunder Thighs real quick.
My favorite part probably is when you came out of the screen and you appeared. It was totally unexpected for real. But yeah, I really liked it. It was pretty dope. I want more movies like that from you.
I'm definitely gonna need some more of those. Facts.
So how does it feel to see people enjoy your film so much? Is this the reaction that you were going for when you guys were making Thunder Thighs?
Well, you think it would feel weird, but it actually feels really good, and that was fairly tame. I've seen much better.
I can imagine the film is a riot. So do you see yourself continuing filmmaking? Is this something that you're very passionate about, or is it more of a hobby?
No. Filmmaking is my massive passion, and I do it with my best friends, and who just so happen to be very talented themselves.
You guys have a lot of videos on YouTube. I've seen, and there's 10 or 11 or so.
Yeah, not enough.
Not enough. Is there anything you're working on right now? Is there a Thunder Thighs 2 in the making, perhaps?
There is, but we don't want to talk too much about that. I will say the bad guy was Paula Deen. Maybe the bad guy might be Guy Fieri in the next one. But no, we're working on this movie called Caretaker for Blondie. It's about this lady with blonde hair who's actually a man. And she's in a house with a lot of special people, and she decides to leave because she's reckless and she's a force to be reckoned with. So she goes on a killing spree.
Sounds pretty exciting. I can't wait to see that. I've also heard that not only directing, you've done your fair share of acting in other people's films as well, and perhaps you may have won an award?
Yes, I've won Best Actor at some UCA Film Festival, and it was probably very impressive, but I don't like talking about it. But I'd love to tell everyone, please check out Big W Studios, and we have a Christmas special possibly coming featuring Blondie.
Cool. All right, well, thank you for being here. That's all the time we have, and stay tuned for Central High Flashbacks.
I'm one unlucky guy. The chance of being involved in a robbery is 1 in 757. The chances of being struck by lightning 1 in 750,000.
Please fasten your seatbelts for unexpected turbulence.
The chances of being a victim in an airline crash 1 in 29 million. Hey, could I get some peanuts? The chances of being involved in a car crash are far greater than lightning strikes and plane crashes. And if you are texting while driving, your risk of crash increases 23 times. Now, I may be an unlucky guy, but I don't have to be part of that statistic, and neither do you. Drive responsibly.
Good morning, and welcome to another week of Central High Flashbacks. Today, we have another episode of oral history along with stories from the Little Rock Nine. Additionally, we have a returning guest speaker from the Central High Museum to talk with us about two other members of the Little Rock Nine. This week, it is Thelma Mothershed and Melba Portillo. The legacy of Little Rock is because of both optimism and caution. While significant strides were made towards desegregation in the 70s and 80s, a series of decisions by the Supreme Court between 1991 and 2007 removed cross-district busing. Local court supervision and desegregation plans limited use of race-based admissions. Let's take a look at our oral history clip of the week.
By October 1st, most of the enforcement duty was turned over to National Guard troops, and the U.S. Army was completely removed by the end of November. On October 25th, 1 month after the Little Rock Nine arrived with a federal troop escort, they rode to school for the first time in civilian vehicles. While conditions calmed outside the campus, inside the school, the Nine endured an endless campaign of verbal and physical harassment at the hands of some of their fellow students. More than 100 white students were suspended, and 4 were expelled during the year. The NAACP continued to press for continued desegregation through the federal courts. Segregationalists and moderate whites began a struggle of their own for control of local schools that would not end until the public high schools closed and reopened at the end of 1959. In December 1959, the Supreme Court ruled that the school board must reopen the schools and resume the process of desegregation. Schools like Little Rock Central High School in America were able to be integrated, yet segregation remained a reality due to segregated lunch tables and segregated extracurricular programs. Today, de facto, or in fact, segregation has again become prevalent. The 1957 Central High crisis came to symbolize both massive resistance to social change and the federal government's commitment to enforcing African American civil rights.
Now, here's a clip from the first-hand interview from those who attend Central High during the incident.
I got a call to go to the ladies' room. And I walk in the ladies' room, and it has, nigger go home, all this. I said, well, look, just kind of wash this down, would you? And as I walked out of the ladies' room, the bell rang, ending classes. Mm-hmm. And the next day in the paper, was it the Gazette that didn't like us? Anyway, it says, and a soldier was seen going into the ladies' room. That was me. And he says, and these soldiers they're perverts.
People that who were later identified as Homer Biggers and Benjamin Fine, who were later identified as education writers for the Washington Post and New York Times. Right. And I remember them being right beside me and talking to me. And one may have put a hand on my shoulder, comforting me. And I do remember one of them said, "Don't let them see you cry." I think somebody took a picture, close-up picture, and even with those sunglasses on, they could see that my eyes were tearing.
My uncle in California called Mother, and he had heard about blood in the halls and people getting beat up. And well, sometimes there was blood in the halls. You get pushed around pretty good. But Mother told him, she had to put me on the phone for me to talk to him because he just knew there was World War III. And I reassured him, I think. But at the time, when he called, it was back like November, early December. And there were a few people from the magazine still out, but the crowds dispersed in large part.
I asked the principal, I asked Mr. Matthews, I said, please do not release my name to the press. I don't want to have my name in the paper. I don't want to be interviewed by the press. I just want to put a clean shirt on and go on with my life.
Now let's welcome our guest, Fabian Ruiz, who is a part of the National Park Services from Central High Museum. Fabian, it's always a pleasure to have you here, my friend.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Yes, yes. Well, Fabian, could you tell us a little bit about the Central High Museum?
Yes, well, Little Rock Central High School National Historic Site was officially opened in the year 1998, and its intention is to commemorate and to honor the sacrifice of the Little Rock Nine, who again were the first 9 young African American students that integrated Central High in 1957.
Okay, well, Fabian, can you tell us how you got into this job and what made you want to be a part of this great history?
Yes, well, again, it is really a great privilege to be part of this, to work as a park ranger for the National Park Service, especially at Central High School. And one of the ways how I was able to come into this program was I was a member of the Youth Leadership Academy, which is an academy sponsored by the Little Rock Central High School National Historic Site. And I was able to obtain an internship, and then eventually the internship became a permanent position as a park guide for the National Park Service. So to answer your question, I was an intern and I was a student of the Youth Leadership Academy.
Oh, Fabian, where were you? When was this? When you first heard about the history of the Little Rock Nine? Was it in school or?
Yes. Well, one of the things that's very interesting. Surprisingly, I learned about the Little Rock Nine, well, about the crisis of Little Rock when I was actually 11th grade in high school, which is very shocking because I feel like I should have learned it before there, right? So it is the mission of the National Historic Site to also promote this story and to make sure that as many students know about this story as much as possible.
Well, Fabian, once again, thank you for coming again, and I could really talk about this all day with you. But thanks for coming.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
On page 4 that the projections need to be tornado next Thursday.
Seriously? Thursday? Can't do that.
This is really inconvenient.
I have yoga that day.
I have no time for this.
So.
I can't do Thursday, but I can do Friday.
Disasters don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
Hello, welcome to Arts in Arkansas, and today we have a guest, D.A., a musician who speaks his mind throughout music, and let's take a look at some of his work.
Be louder.
Can you hear that? Wait. I ain't that funny, ain't a joke. They're saying I'm a zero, they done dug a wrong hole. Does that sound more clear?
Yeah, it sounds a lot more clear.
I ain't that funny, ain't a joke. They're saying I'm a zero, they done dig the wrong hole. Clean as a whistle. Black ones, I don't feel like you. When I'm hit you deep, I'm new. What's the issue? Doing with always go for block. Alright, I got it.
On you.
How that sound? Cause I can do that again if you want me to.
Yeah, let's do that.
Never throw up. Yeah. Boy, I'm living. Yeah.
be around, watch TV, read comic books, play the game. Hell, you can be walking around campus cracking jokes with Bauer.
Hell yeah.
You can just cracking jokes, and next thing you know, ouch.
That sound hard. That sound hard as hell.
Yeah, it was like that whole tape, just like me talking about like frustrations, just like talking about like how I feel about like certain just like me, like being like I can't do this, that, and the other, being frustrated. I can't record what I want to, I can't do what I want to, can't do this, can't do that, all that other like rushing to like try to like even if I never do a show again, I know. That's why I always tell like everybody, I appreciate y'all. If you don't support, you support. You don't support, regardless. I've been in the studio to get that, see the energy, see what they talking about. But it was just like, okay, it's cool.
I've been in it too, bro. I don't know, bro. I feel like home recording studios, the energy is a lot better.
Yeah.
Well, first off, how did you get your name, D.A.?
I was as I was born here, my parents was like, I'm a junior, so they wanted to name me D.A. instead of being DJ to be different from everybody else and stuff like that.
And could you tell us a little bit of what it's like being an independent artist?
I mean, it has its pros and cons. Like you have to do everything by yourself, and more so just like try to learn as you go, and like try to get people to really listen. Like, hey, I'm a local artist. Try to like market yourself and do like learn as you go.
And do you feel as if you only need one chance to really get your foot in the door to make a real imprint in the industry?
Yeah, I feel like I can get one. I deserve one chance and just show that what I can really do, and like in the music industry, because I believe that everybody in Arkansas has a chance. Everybody's like a whole lot of talent here, and I feel like once we get that one foot in the door, we're gonna make everything count.
And I myself like to follow a lot of musical artists, and every now and then you can definitely tell when they reach a writing block. And is that ever a problem with you?
It is, but like whenever like I get a writing block, I usually just stop writing, just like kind of enjoy life, like go through the experiences, and just walk around, breathe, and just live life.
And could you tell us how we can find your music through social media or different streaming platforms?
All right, so I have a single out called Narcotics it's me featuring Too Tall. It's on Apple Music, Tidal, Spotify, YouTube Music. There's also, I have a mixtape out on SoundCloud. If it ain't one thing, it's another. It's on SoundCloud. Look me up as DA. And also, social media-wise, I have a Twitter and an Instagram that's linked up to everything else.
Well, thank you, D.A. I really appreciate having you, and let's all thank D.A. and all the other guests for coming out today and shaping their thoughts. We hope you enjoyed this week's show, and see you next Monday, 12 p.m.